Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Anita Ibuka in case you're just coming here for the first time, and if this is not your first time, welcome back. Of course, you can also call me Annie Ama. Thank you guys for engaging on my last post actually. Thank you so much. I'm just honored to know that it blessed you, right? I'm just honored to know that. And yeah, so without further, delay, let's just go into the topic of today. Like you can already see, the topic of today is idleness, right? So in the past few weeks I've been thinking about a lot of things. Like I'm always thinking. Sometimes I feel this is becoming cliche, but literally I'm always actually thinking about certain things. When I come across something, I'm just thinking like, oh, what are the perspectives to this thing, and how can I apply it to my own life? So the topic for today is idleness, like I already said, and yeah, and I just want to start this video like this by asking if you've ever experienced this there's a kind of a change around your life whenever you spend some level or amount of time doing nothing in particular, right? When you are not actively engaging yourself, actively engaging any part of your body or just yourself in general, actively chasing something, you're just stagnant. That is the word, stagnant or static, doing nothing. And it's not like you're taking a deliberate rest. You just realize that when you now want to do something, there's this weakness that just comes over you. Like you're weak physically, you're weak spiritually, you're weak mentally and emotionally, right? There's this weakness that just comes with being idle for a period of time. In my own life, I've seen how whenever I am, smashing goals, chasing after something new, breaking through new horizon, achieving a task that I set for myself, learning something, just on the move, on the go, doing something, using my talents or my potentials or my mind or my hands to do something. There's just this achievement, there's just this happiness that I get. I'm like the happiest version of myself at those points in time. But at the point in time where I'm like very laid back, not doing something in particular or not chasing after something in particular, there's this I begin to experience this level of frustration or anxiety. I begin to question a lot of things about my own life. I begin to worry a lot about, oh, do I even have enough for my future? Do I even have what it takes to get to that place? Will I even get there ever? Like there's just a lot of things that starts to happen in my mind that starts to lead to a kind of depressive mood and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the perspective of this entire video. And as always, I'm gonna read one or two scriptures to back up what I'm saying. And yes, I pointed out the scripture Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 18, and it says, "By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through." Right? This dropping through of the house is communicating depreciation in productivity, right? By saying by much slothfulness, it's already pointing to laziness, right? By laziness, the building will decay. But he pointed also that idleness of the hands, through idleness of the hands, the house droppeth through. So when there is that, you know, relapse, I don't know if that's like the right expression, there's a tendency for there to be decay or depreciation, right? And also another scripture in Matthew chapter 20 verse 1 to 6, he was talking about how he was likening the kingdom to is he a farmer? That's the word he used in that scripture, who went out calling in people that he saw idle by the roadside into his vineyard to work. So at different hours of the day, he would go out, and when he see people, he would ask them, "Why are you standing all day idle, doing nothing?" That they should come and work for him, and he will pay them their wages that is fair. And at the end of the day, we see that he paid all of them equally, and there was a kind of like strife. But the idea from that scripture is that God himself does not want us to be idle. He doesn't want us to be found doing nothing. He wants us to be constantly involved with, several things, with, in this case, the kingdom, right? And then just using the potentials that he has given to us. He didn't give us those things for fashion, he gave us to use them. And then lastly, there's this scripture I came across, First Timothy chapter 5 verse 13. Even though the scripture was talking about, the verses before that was talking about widows and some other kind of things, but this scripture actually got to me. It says, "Besides, they get into the habit of being idle and going about from house to house, and not only do they become idlers, but also busybodies who talk nonsense, saying things they ought not to." So the idea here is that not only when you are idle, not only are you gonna be, becoming lazy, you begin to move from house to house, saying things who talk. He said they become busybodies who talk nonsense, saying things they ought not to, right? So with idleness comes other negative things. You begin to do things and say things that you are not meant to, because you are already that statement that says the idle man's mind is the devil's workshop, right? So just because you are idle, a lot of things are already brooding in your mind, brooding in your person generally. So, like I said, there are negative emotions that could stem from idleness, right? And the first on the list that I put down is laziness. Laziness, I like I used that example in the beginning of the video, right? When you are not doing anything, I'm sure you must have had this experience. When you're not doing anything active, like both, so some people might be sitting in a particular position over a period of time, like people who do work on, like, work remotely or work in an office where they get to sit down almost all through the day before their computer. They are not actively moving around, but their mind is actively at work, and their hands most likely will be actively at work. So something is actually happening with them, even though they are not moving around, right? They are not idle. That's the point. So, and even in such situations, because I work in a kind of place where I'm actually sitting at most time of the day, right? I realize that by the time I stand up, I'm feeling more tired than those who are even walking around. Yeah, but then just imagine I was not even using my mind or using my hands. Imagine that I was just there in that kind of position throughout the day, doing nothing, not actively using my mind or my hands. By the time I now want to do something productive, I am extra lazy, because my body has been, reclined to such state of unnecessary rest. Let me just put it that way. But I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. Some of the things that might come with idleness is laziness. You realize that whenever you stay idle for a period of time, when you now want to do something productive, you're lazy towards it. You have to take extra discipline to actually start that thing. Another thing I wrote down is jealousy and envy. Now, it's funny because when I was thinking about this topic, I came across a video from one of the YouTubers that I follow, and she was talking about this particular emotion, jealousy. And some of the things that she said were she just gave expression to some of the things I was thinking about, and even opened my mind to some things that I hadn't even thought about yet. And truly, when we stay idle, that's when you begin to notice that, oh, this person is having a better life than I am. Oh, this person is doing this than doing that. Oh, why should it be this person and not me? And all of that. But you forget at that point, it's like as if you stop moving, but every other thing, like, we're all on a journey, right? We're all moving towards a particular destination. So when you stop moving, just like when you're driving on the road, it doesn't mean other cars stopped moving. So everything around you still continues to move, and because every other thing is moving and you are not moving, you begin to notice, like, it now begins to look like every other person is faster than you, because maybe the people who are on the same level with have gone ahead of you, people who were behind you have gone ahead of you. So you now begin to feel a kind of way, which is that frustration and anxiety I was talking about. But the actual thing is that you are the one who stopped. So now, because you stopped, you have the time to now be watching other people and then building that negative emotion of jealousy and envy, comparing yourself to them, beginning to enter into an unnecessary competition with them, because now you are thinking, oh, this person's life is better than mine. She made mention in that video that let's always remember that where we are is an answered prayer, either our own prayer or someone else's prayer points, right? But where we are is an answer to a prayer. So another negative emotions that we can actually build because of idleness is ingratitude, right? This is the same thing that the example I just gave is just kind of like it buttress this point as well. When we are idle, we begin to forget that there are things that are happening in our own lives that we can be grateful for, because we are now paying so much attention to other people's life. It's just the devil, whispering to us, telling us things that don't actually matter, right? Telling us things that he's trying to, like, sow seeds in our hearts, because we are giving him room for that. If you're actively chasing something, you're not going to be having that time to look at somebody else's life, or begin to compare with them, or begin to feel a certain way, even though there are people who struggle with these emotions on a natural basis, even if they're actively engaged. But I'll get to that anyways. And then another one is frustration and anxiety. These things are all just very linked. Another one, this is the climax of it: evil acts and statements that will bring consequent curses, right? So you see that it's not just a seed of a negative emotion in your heart, but sometimes you begin to act out the things you are thinking. You begin to say things that you don't even mean, because now you are the seed has been sowed in your heart. She made mention in her own video of how when we begin to snare at people's, like, some of the things that we admire in people's life, just because we have begun to harbor emotions like jealousy and envy, we're actually telling God, Lord, you see that thing you did to that person, don't do it to me. And then she referred to the blessing of God upon Abraham in the scripture that says that I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you. So Abraham carried the blessing. And then for everybody who will bless him, it's the same thing with that other scripture that said, when you give a prophet a cup of water, you receive a prophet's reward. So for me is, I see something in your life that I like, right? By the time that I appreciate that thing, I sow a seed towards that thing, I am literally expected to receive the fruit after the same kind of that seed. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, right? But I hope that I'm able to communicate this rightly. But every time in her video, she was making mention of this point that every time we are snaring at something good that's happening in someone's life, which are things that we actually admire, but because it's not happening to us, it's happening to someone else, we begin to say, it's not even that big. Say, what does she even feel like? What is even the difference that she has this or she doesn't have that? Or like begin to say things that, don't even make sense if you think about it, right? We are actually sowing seeds of that will bring to us back, that will bring curses back to us, because God says that He will bless those that blessed Abraham. Now I'm using Abraham as the person who is blessed. So whatever it is that's in that person's life that is like a blessing to you, when you are saying negative things about it, you're actually inviting curses to yourself. It's like you're cursing the blessed, so curses are coming to you. And then if you're blessing them, the blessings that they have will actually be coming to you. It's a seed that you're sowing. You're supposed to reap the fruit after its kind. Just on a side note, some of the things that she advised in situations like this is that, which I also is something that I also think that is the right thing to do, and I also practice in my own little way, is actually appreciating. If you see somebody that has something that you admire, instead of harboring those negative emotions, instead go ahead to appreciate the person to their face. Say, oh, this thing that you have, I love it and I admire you and admire what you have, And then if it's something you really, really want and you are led to, you can sow a seed into the person's life. You don't even need to say, oh, this is what I'm saying this. You just sow it. If it's service, if it's monetary, if it's gifts, whatever kind of seed you can sow into that person's life is between you and God. Just tell God, Lord, this is the seed I'm sowing for this particular type of blessing. You've done it in this person's life. Do it in my own life. And I'll get to that when I was talking about pictures, right? Do it in my own life. And then, sometimes you begin to even, I was saying negative actions also follow some of these emotions, right? Sometimes we now begin to deliberately close some doors that we have the access to open for such people because we are now in strife with them, right? So all of these negative things that we do from the seed of negative emotions that has already been planted in our heart through idleness, they are indirectly, bringing curses upon us. So we have to be really careful of what we are allowing into our minds in situations like this. Now, what do we do to deal with idleness and its effects? Now we can see that there's a lot of negative things that accrue with just being idle. It's very little, but a lot of things that are negative already follow it. It didn't come alone, right? And I'm just going to read through the 4 points I have here and then make a general overview of them. So the first thing is understand your purpose and your destination. This is something that I say a lot on this channel, right? And the second thing is have a vision and a picture, for the destination that you're going to. And the third thing is keep working towards it. Never get comfortable. Keep growing, keep moving, keep your eyes on the next goal, right? And then the last thing is, if you ever notice, before I get to the last thing, let me just explain the first two, right? So like I said, understand your purpose or your destination. Now you know that, this is who I am, this is what I'm meant to do in this life, this is where I want to get to in my own lifetime, right? And then I talked about having a vision and a picture. So for me, it's something that my spiritual father, Dr. Pastor Nechi, actually talks about a lot, and then I started to practice it in various ways. Before, I used to use text and just use my own mental imagination, but recently I upgraded to actually having pictures. He used to say that when he started his ministry, that he actually went to carry crusade pictures of other men of God in those days who gathered crowds, and he knew that this was where he was going to. He carried those kind of pictures and put them around his office, around his house. He could look at them every day and say, oh, we are getting to this place, right? And today he's gathering crowd around the world. So that's the same thing. Even myself in recent times, I have a picture of the kind of life I want to live, the kind of family I want to have. Anything, it might be a person who is already living that kind of life. It might be a representation of that vision or a career. If it's your career, that you have a picture of someone in that career, or a picture of the office, that's just a picture that represents what you have in your mind, right? Where you are going to. If you can get it, just put it somewhere every day. Look at it. For me, I just look at it. I have people that are living the kind of life that I want to live. I look at it and I'm praying for those people, and I'm saying, Lord, I'm sowing this as a seed for my own life to become for whatever it is that you have designed for me. I'm looking at these people and I see them manifesting it. I pray for them, and then I now sow like a seed and say, Lord, use this for my own life. I want to see these kind of manifestations in my own life. And then which moves me to the next point, keep working towards it. So I'm not just looking at this picture, but I'm also learning what it will take for me to get there. I'm also putting in the action that it will take for me to get there. I'm also, picking up from their life. What did they do? How did they do it? How did they get to where they are? What do I need to do to move from where I am to where they are, or to where I want to be in my own case, right? And then the final thing is, if you ever notice those negative emotions creeping in, remind yourself who you are, where you are going to, and make it a point of duty to appreciate and to celebrate with those who are celebrating instead of harboring negative emotions, right? So as long as we are human beings, our minds work in mysterious ways. Sometimes you might not have control over the kind of things that come into your heart or into your mind, but then you have control as to how you react to it. So make it a point of duty that whenever you notice, oh, these negative emotions are beginning to creep in, whether by reason of idleness or by reason of whatever circumstances you're having around you, make it a point of duty that, you know what, I'm not going to brood over this negative emotion. I'm going to turn that negative emotion from the negative route and use it as a seed for my own blessing by appreciating these people, celebrating with them, sowing seeds into their life, and then expecting that God will take these things and begin to make my own life to manifest in the same way that I'm desiring it to manifest. And with this, I believe that I've said one or two things that will maybe resonate with you, or, help you in your own work. Like I said, here we're just out to grow, being real, and grow in our own work with God and in our own lives generally. Like I said, we are figuring these things out as we are on the journey, not like I figured it out entirely. So as much as I learn on my own journey, I'll share with you guys. Of course, I want to see what you think about this topic or your own perspective to it in the comment section. And of course, if you heard anything that you feel blessed you and you want to share with your friends, please do well to share. Don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed. And till next time, I'll see you in my next videos. Bye.